and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP, or visit snapconstruction.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526, 612-919-5526, or autotech.org.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Broadcasting from Loring Park in Minneapolis from Twin Cities Pride. Welcome to the Gaily Show, the only daily LGBTQ news and talk show in the United States, airing in Minneapolis and in Chicago right now, live from Twin Cities Pride in Minneapolis. The weather is holding out. If you're at home and you're wondering, should I come out to Twin Cities Pride? It's overcast right now, which is nice. You don't have the sun like beating down on you, and a breeze picked up finally, which is really making things like, it's muggy, but the breeze is helping.
It's a little humid, but it's not bad.
No, it's nice.
Yeah,
it's nice. And
if you can find a breeze, like you said.
If you come down to the AM 950 tent, we have a lot of lovely chairs that are in the shade, so you can chill out before you go into the park, or if you're just coming out of the park, or if you just need a break.
Right.
It has been, I can't believe we're already at the end of we've got a few hours left of the 2025 edition of Twin Cities Pride. Over 600 vendors in tents throughout. There was a little damage that some had last night because of the
storms,
extreme weather. I mean, we didn't have a tornado here, but I know a few folks, particularly around the pond, were dealing with some damage to their tents. Luckily, it seems like everybody is back up and running today, so you get the full effect, the full joy of Twin Cities Pride. 600 vendors, and it felt like it, didn't it, as you were walking through the park?
My impression was there were more food vendors, which I was appreciative of, because if you see a few and they all have a line, you think, oh no. But this was actually pretty easy.
I had some tasty donuts.
Did you?
There was that pack of donuts. They were like tiny donuts. They made them like right then and there. They were delightful.
But they're
Speaking
not
of delightful. Where are my macarons? Speaking of delightful, our sponsors.
Well, that's the thing. I was going to compare the donuts to the macarons. I'll bet there's no comparison.
We would not be broadcasting here today were it not for our sponsors, Cause Cart, MELSA, the Metropolitan Library Service Agency, No Place Like Home Real Estate, Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus, Nicolette's Macarons, Minuteman Press, Uptown, Mavericks Real Roast Beef, which is for real. They are the real roast beef. Cup and Cuppa Java. Nicolette's has been providing us with macarons, the host, all weekend long. Cuppa Java as well has been providing us with coffee, keeping us caffeinated here in the tent. And of course, Mavericks Real Roast Beef. Thank you, y'all, for keeping us well fed throughout the weekend. I want to learn a little bit more about our sponsors. Jim, can you tell us more about MELSA?
Oh, I was going to talk about Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus.
All right, fine.
That's what I'd like to do, because I went to their tent and I talked to them a little bit. They just had their concert last weekend. It was in St. Paul. Why am I having trouble thinking of the name of the Ordway? Sorry, and which is pretty impressive. But now I understand they've announced their concerts next season are going to be at Orchestra Hall, which is even more impressive. So they are not kidding around. They are really kicking it up. Their website looks great, and they've really stepped up in terms of their marketing and all of that.
And if folks want to join the chorus,
they have auditions coming up on my birthday. They asked me if that was all right. I said, that's fine if you want to do them on my birthday, September 4th. So I think someone at the tent said they can do auditions, and they often do other than that. but that's kind of the annual.
Yeah.
If you want to be in part of this season, that would be a good time for you to audition, and the main concert will then be for the winter or the fall will be Saturday, December 6th at 2:30 and 7:30, and that of course is their winter wonderland holiday extravaganza. So
I just saw Spider-Man walk by.
you do. What?
There are so many cool outfits here. The
Oh, I thought
people
somebody was in
watching,
trouble and he was saving.
going to save the day.
Yeah,
Sorry to interrupt. No, I'm like, oh hey, there's Spider-Man.
that's all right.
Peter.
If he wants to be in the Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus, he should go to tcgmc.org.
And it's too early to buy your tickets, but their next concert is it's Jingle Bells and Jazz Noels on Saturday,
But-
December 6th.
But you can buy a season ticket, so they are selling season tickets for their entire season.
That's correct.
Yeah, so
All right.
I would go to the website and do
We
that.
also stopped at the MELSA tent, the Metropolitan Library Service Agency tent.
This is such an interesting organization. I asked my sister, who's a librarian, if this is a common thing for a large metropolitan area to have a service organization that takes care of a whole, I don't know how many dozens and dozens of libraries and provides marketing services and other services to them so that each library doesn't have to do all that themselves. They can rely on this organization. So they handle, I don't remember the number. It's a large number of libraries.
It's 7 or 8, I think.
Oh, I thought it was more than that.
It might be.
I mean, I think there's
Maybe it's 7 or 8 counties.
Yeah, 7 or 8 counties sounds right. I think it's many dozens of physical libraries. And when we went over there today, they had a number of books out because, as you understood when you had Abby on the air, they have a summer book LGBT reading list.
They have
right?
Pride book lists.
And I think maybe those books were physically there in the tent for people.
I saw some of the books. So for folks who don't know, the MELSA creates a Pride book list where you can go to their website, melsa.org/pride-book list, and you can search there on the page. You can look for books based off of identity. So asexual, gay, queer, lesbian, trans, two-spirit. And then when you click on the tab, it opens up and gives you by age, which is really neat. So you can find like kids books and teenage, like YA books, and then also for adults. And when we were in the tent, I saw that they were not allowing, but they had an area where you could write down recommendations
That's
for
great.
books, so other folks could find other books that they would want to read.
One thing we've learned, you know this because you're a heavy book consumer. I'm a moderate book consumer, but we know that book people love telling other people about books that they love. It's a very sharing sort of community, right? And
also commiserating about the unread books that sit in a pile
That's
on
right.
your shelf.
staring at you.
Yes.
Yeah. So these are people that love books, and they're such a great resource because they keep you filled up with ideas. We have a partner, Gordy, who he reads one book, and the day he finishes, he wants to start another one. So you got to have one like lined up in the chamber, for him to.
We have to have more authors on the show that can give us more books.
But he's very serious about wanting to get something that he's going to enjoy. He takes it very seriously. It's not a lark, and I think a lot of book readers are that way.
Yes.
They take their reading very seriously. So MELSA is great. You should look them up.
And MELSA's tent was right next to Hennepin County Library. So if you don't have a library card, rather, they would hand you off to Hennepin County Library so that you could get one of those book cards.
We're actually in Ramsey County, and we have a book card, obviously, and everyone should have one. It's just something you need to do.
Yes.
So just go get it
Speaking of
done.
library cards that you should be having, Quatrefoil is also here,
Yep.
our local LGBTQ bookstore,
Yep.
where you can get a library card. They also have a table with some books. They used to, a number of years ago, have like 2 tents and just dozens and dozens of books for sale. Now they've got their book sale happening at their location, their actual physical location, but they do have a few of them here for you to peruse and buy. But you can also get your library card there, and they have so many books available that you can rent and or buy from their physical location, but also through their e-library program it's called Libby, Libby, and there are a lot of ebooks that are available there that you can read for free with your Quatrefoil library card, all of them queer or queer, adjacent. And it's really, I really recommend that as a resource.
I'm just going to mention, since we're talking about books, that we produce a podcast called This Queer Book Saved My Life that was GLAAD nominated last year. And we have produced 77 episodes of This Queer Book Saved My Life, and somewhere around 30 episodes of 7 Minutes in Book Heaven. So we've done a lot of book content.
And if you need more Book 10 this year, coming back for its second year, if you are thinking about heading down to Loring Park, which you should do, there is the Queer Rights Tent, rights being WRITES. And it's the second year they've had this. In the tent, you will have the opportunity to shop from local LGBTQIA plus authors and booksellers. So all of the bookworms, you can find them. You can find the map at the info booths. There are info booths everywhere. You kind of enter into Loring Park, but you can find both Melsa's tent, Quatrefoil's tent, and the Queer Rights, WRITES tent, where you can get all of your connections with authors and the next books that you're going to read.
And Hennepin County Library, you said, is
And
there
Hennepin
also?
County Library.
Yeah, that's great. We're very fortunate. One of the things that makes the Twin Cities what it is a higher education level, particularly 4-year degrees. We have a higher percentage of people with 4-year degrees than most other major metropolitan areas, and it's probably that factor more than anything else that results in this white-collar economy, frankly, and higher standard of living that goes along with it. So reading is good.
Also, in its second year here at the Loring Park Twin Cities Pride is the Artist Alley. So this is a space that's dedicated exclusively to LGBTQIA plus artists. So there you will find past and present Twin Cities Pride artists in residence, as well as local other queer artists. And so you can find that also here in the park. Again, maps available at every information booth because there is a lot here. The parade got done a couple hours ago, and we saw a huge uptick of people. And there's still quite a few hanging out in the park. But again, the breeze is really helping.
Yeah, I think this does not seem overcrowded to me this year. It doesn't feel like meat going through a sausage skin. You know what I mean? It feels like you can walk around and there's some movement. You know what I mean? It's not, the aisles are not so packed that you can't move.
Oh, like in years, yeah.
I feel.
Yeah,
This
like
feels pretty manageable to me.
It is very, very manageable. You can also bring your furry friend, your pets. There is the Pet Central, which is the perfect place for animal lovers at Twin Cities Pride. So today, let's see, going on just wrapped up the Tiny Rainbow Rumps and Rescue Romp with Tiny Heinies. But coming up here at 4 o'clock is the dog contest in Pet Central. And then at 5 p.m. will be the Ask a Veterinary Professional. So you can bring your puppy. You can also stop by the AM 950 tent.
I was going to say.
Mia, our tiny little rock star of a puppy. Actually, not a puppy. I think she's 4 years old now. She is a poodle Bichon Frise mix, and she has really been the star.
I think she should have
Pride this weekend. Everybody is walking over to say hello.
I think she should
Mia.
have her own show. I don't know what she would want the show to be about.
It would be a very popular show.
Yeah, it almost wouldn't matter what she talked about.
It would be a very popular show. And if you need a moment to recharge here in Loring Park, there is the Escape Space. So this is hosted by the Autism Society of Minnesota. It is a shaded, air-conditioned sensory oasis. It's nestled by the lake here in the park. This is for anyone who wants to take a break from the noises and the crowds here of Pride. It offers a quiet, calming environment. There are tools and resources to support sensory regulation and relaxation. So as they say on Pride's website, everybody deserves a moment of peace, and the Escape Space is here just for that. We are going to take a break here. There is a lot more to talk about what's happening here at Twin Cities Pride in Loring Park. Again, if you are thinking, do I really want to go down there? Come on down. We're open up for a few more hours here. Coming up after us will be Ghost Box Radio, hosted by Greg Bakken. So quick break here. You're listening to The Gaily Show, live from Loring Park.
Hi, this is Laura with Food Freedom Radio, and I invite you to discover 2 local grocery stores with a global fare. Market Fresh, south of Rosedale, carries fresh vegetables, quality meats, seafood, and a wide variety of grocery staples, all in a welcoming store. Shanghai Wholesale Market is in the St. Paul Midway area, and it's a food warehouse open to the public. Shanghai Wholesale carries more than 500 types of noodles. And frankly, it's time for Minnesotans to learn that pasta is a little bit more than spaghetti noodles and tuna casserole. There's sweet potato, bean, rice, fresh, frozen, dry. It's a paradise for those seeking gluten-free pasta. Also, both Market Fresh and Shanghai Wholesale Market seek to buy local, so you can look for local quail eggs, unique cheeses, and Minnesota-made tofu. Open the door to food abundance. Discover Market Fresh, your local Asian food store just south of Rosedale, and Shanghai Wholesale Market, your local international food warehouse north of Menards in the St. Paul Midway area.
I'll never forget. I was driving my Sienna from Rudy Luther Toyota, and I was hit at 35 miles an hour, rear-ended square flush. If not for the structural integrity of my Sienna, I wouldn't be here right now. There's a lot I can say about Rudy Luther Toyota, about their fantastic service department and their great selection, but being able to say your car saved my life is the best endorsement I can make. Toyotas from Rudy Luther Toyota are my highest recommendation. Get one today and tell them me, Matt McNeil, told you to stop on in. Rudy Luther Toyota, 394 and 169 in Golden Valley.
All Energy Solar is proud to be back at the Twin Cities Pride Festival this year. With over 15 years of experience, they've helped Minnesotans switch to clean, sustainable solar energy. They make solar accessible to everyone while reducing your carbon footprint. Whether it's for your home or business, All Energy Solar designs personalized systems and delivers top quality experience from start to finish. During Pride Weekend, All Energy Solar is offering a special $500 discount when you stop by their booth and go solar. You can find them near the Harmon Place entrance in the red zone at booth 595. Need a little sunscreen while you're enjoying the festival? They've got you covered with free mini sunscreen and fun temporary tattoos all weekend long. The friendly team of solar experts will be on hand to answer your questions and celebrate right alongside you. Stop by and say hi or visit allenergysolar.com to learn more.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Welcome back to the Gaily Show, live from Twin Cities Pride in Loring Park in Minneapolis. I am your host, John Parker. In tent with me is my executive producer, Jim Hounds. We would not be able to do these live broadcasts without our sponsors, Cause Cart, Melsa, No Place Like Home Real Estate, Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus, Nicolet's Macarons, Minuteman Press Uptown, Mavericks Real Roast Beef, and Cuppa Java. If you are in the park, you can come down to our AM 950 tents. We are at the end of Yale Place. We are booths 407 and 408. We have a lot of chairs set up that are in the shade. Most importantly, there's a nice breeze going on. So if you want a place where you can chill out, hang out, eat some lovely food, you've got that at the end of Yale Place, booths 407 and 408. And what's really nice is we're pretty close to the porta potties as well. We've got everything that you need here. We're a full service booth.
We take care of all of your needs at AM 950.
Let's learn a little bit more about our sponsors today. Let's talk about Minuteman Press, or where do you want to go?
I'd like to talk about Cause Cart, just because this is one that I did not know, and I did a little bit of investigation about it. It's described as a website where you can buy socially and environmentally conscious products. Now you kind of know what that means, but there's a wide variety of things that are on this website, and the website address is cause-cart.com. They have clothing, beverages, jewelry, beauty items, accessories, socks, home decor. It's pretty astonishing how much stuff they've got, and all of it with environmental consciousness, let's say, with environmental responsibility built in, and that's something that a lot of us think about.
And something that you can buy there is Native Roots Radio, a show that comes on at 5 o'clock every day, Monday through Friday here on AM 950. They have some really cool, they're a black t-shirt and then they have an arrow with feathers on them that says resist.
Oh,
And it's in a rainbow color.
I like
So
that.
you can go, if you go to cause-cart.com and you look, and I think if you type in resistance or resist into the search bar, it's right there. Top comes up there. Native
Nice.
Roots Radio. I really like that. I was like, oh, that's a really cool T-shirt.
Anytime
We've
you-
got to get T-shirts for this show.
Anytime you've got sort of a lot of stuff in one place, it's sort of hard to describe all of a sudden. You know what I mean? You're like, well, there's 75 things there. But if you go to it, if you're environmentally conscious, go to it and you'll find something there that you want. I'm sure of that. Then I'm going to talk about Maverick's Real Roast Beef. There was just a commercial for it, so I'm duplicating it a little bit. But we went to Maverick's, Gordy, John, and I, the three people in my family, and we had this great experience where we didn't know what to expect. You know, they
This is
advertised.
unpaid, folks. We are not paid to share this
Yeah,
right now.
we just
It
wanted.
was legit good.
We wanted to support an advertiser of the station and find out how good or how okay it was, and it was fantastic. I think we were all impressed not only with the quality and the freshness of the food, the size of the portion,
I keep saying that if you like cheese
condiments.
curds, and everywhere I go, I get cheese curds. I got the cheese curds here today. They were available at one of the food trucks. I'm trying to think of which one I went to. I'm blanking on that. I apologize. But the ones at Mavericks are as good, just a very close second to the ones at the State Fair, which are the best in all of Minnesota.
I would call them an echo of the State Fair.
It's really close.
Yeah.
But there's something I really liked about the Mavericks when we were there is their homemade. They make their own barbecue sauce, and it just
You can
it
tell.
made that roast beef sing. It was so good.
Yeah, you can tell that the care that you don't expect that kind of care. Maybe from the outside, you walk in and don't know it's there, but boy, you can taste it. I think.
And this is unpaid, folks. I'm not,
All
I'm
right,
not being
well,
paid to say this.
Just wanted people to know
So
that it was
it
good.
is. It is. We are legit. We will be going back to there. They are on Lexington Avenue, 1746 Lexington in Roseville. You can also go to their website, mavericksbeef.com. As we're coming up here on the end of our Pride this year in 2025, there's still a few hours left. I think we close here at 7. So if you're thinking, do I go down there? Definitely go down there. There's a lot to see here still. So many great vendors. But as we're coming up on the end of Pride this year, I wanted to start thinking about 2026 and what Pride should look like in 2026. You know, this month we had a Supreme Court that on 2 of 3 cases really came after the community in really horrifying ways, both as it related to trans healthcare and then as it related to school curriculum, LGBT school curriculum, and how, you know, now basically parents can use a faith get out of jail free card, veto card, to say teachers can and can't teach something, and they're going to yank their students if they are teaching LGBTQ content.
And prevent other students from getting that content, which is, to me, even more heinous. You know, it's bad enough to say, I want my children to be ignorant. They want everybody else's children to be ignorant, too.
Correct.
Terrific.
And so we did win one case where PrEP and HIV prevention medications will continue to be free currently under the Affordable Care Act. And, you know, businesses, if they're offering insurance to their, you know, their employees, that coverage will still have to be there. So we did win one of them. You know, for whatever reasons that we did, you know, the court decided not to, you know, slam us for that one. But, you know, we're only 6 months in to this administration. You know, a year from now will be a year and 6 months in. It's not going to get better. And so we did see a march through the park here earlier. I was too far away, so I couldn't hear what they were marching about, but they were protesting. And I just wonder next year, is it going to be a march down Hennepin Avenue, or will it be a parade down Hennepin Avenue? And I'm kind of, you know, torn at this point because I like being here in the park. I've really needed to be in this space. You know, I talked to so many people yesterday that were coming up to the AM 950 tent, and we were talking about the queer shows on the station. We were talking about the progressive shows, and everyone was giving love to Mia,
right?
Who's on a walk right now. And I needed that. I needed to be like in community and to just be like, okay, let's have a space where we can be ourselves and we can breathe and just celebrate each other. But all the conversations, politics was front and center in them. And so, you know, what are we going to be doing a year from now? Is it going to be a march? And so the reason why I'm asking that question and why it's in the top of my brain right now is that yesterday in Budapest in Hungary. So this is Hungary is a country that MAGA loves.
Yep.
Viktor Orban has gone to Mar-a-Lago. He is basically a de facto dictator
Yep.
in that country. His MAGA aspiring party, a lot of the things that they do over there, MAGA wants to do over here. And one of those things is that they passed a constitutional amendment earlier this year outlawing all pride parades,
Right.
gatherings, festivals, etc. It is in their constitution
Right.
to do so.
Right.
But the mayor of Budapest said, screw that. We're going to have a pride march on Saturday, so yesterday, June 28th.
And boy,
And the
did
closer
they.
and closer that we got to it, suddenly all these other foreign ministers of countries and mayors and elected officials from the European Parliament were like, this constitutional amendment is wrong. We are going to show up to your pride parade.
Yep.
And then suddenly, secretaries of state, foreign ministers of a variety, 30 European countries wrote a letter to Hungary and said, knock it off. And the European Commission is like, we are going to be looking into ways that we can, sue Hungary or impose fines against Hungary for this law. Well, yesterday, it was time for the parade. So organizers say it was upwards of 200,000 people showed up and marched in this pride protest. And the BBC was reporting that the length of the route that they went, usually if it was just a regular day, it would take about 20 minutes to walk that. It took 3 hours because there were so many people there.
I think there's something happening that is beyond protest, and that is regret that people associated with this administration are beginning to have. Imagine if you're the average ICE agent, I hate to think of that, or the average dumb yokel working for the Trump administration somewhere, and you're starting to go, this is horrific. I'm not sure that I'm comfortable about that. I'm not sure that I've made a terrible mistake. I think every single day, not only do voters that voted for him regret it, I think there are people working, being part of this horrible attack on our country who regret it. And those people, to me, are obtainable as flips, if you know what I mean. I want to see when 150 ICE agents refuse to go out on that raid in Boston. They're just not going to do it. And people start to, that's different than protest.
I have doubt that there are ICE agents.
Well, I think there are some.
Considering they're running around without any identification and they're hiding their faces, I think they're unfortunately enjoying this horror.
But there are some. There are some police officers who don't agree with what's happening. There are people in the military who don't agree. Probably a lot more than we realize, especially in the military. So for me, a sign that the signal has changed is when people within the administration begin to resist what's happening. And I think it's going to be really dangerous, but I think it's going to happen. And it's not just us talking to ourselves, it's them beginning to talk to themselves in their own mind.
Well, when I see upwards of 200,000 people marching in the most right-wing country, or the one that's trying to be the most right-wing MAGA country in Europe, I want to sit there and go, okay, maybe there is something going on here. People could be cynical and say, oh, it's just political opportunism that these, members of parliament from the European Commission are showing up there, and that these foreign ministers are writing these letters and showing up and going to Budapest to protest. The proof will be in the pudding next year to see if they show up again. But here in the Twin Cities, here in Chicago next year, which I know they had their Pride Parade as well today, and shout out to Out Chicago and WCPT 820. They had their 600th episode covering that Pride Parade today. They've been on the air for 12 years. I have to wonder, the attacks are not going to stop over the next 12 months.
No.
And as we're looking at other folks that are planning No Kings protests and are even considering general strikes in 2026, and we have the election for Congress in 2026, what does Pride need to look like? Tomorrow, the folks who organize this, they're probably going to take tomorrow off, but on Tuesday, the planning will begin again for Pride of 2026, and we have got to be thinking about how do we, is this going to be a celebratory space next year, or is it going to be more of a protest march type space?
If we're in a moment of history, like I keep saying, it can't be the same next year. If we're not, if this is just another unfortunate thing, we'll get over that, when we get the new Congress in 26. If it's really that, then it'll be another celebration. But if it's not, and we'll know by then, it's going to have to be very different.
Well, I think that there's what pressure are we going to be bringing onto corporations
Yes.
over the next 12 months? Already just in the first 6, how many corporations have bailed on Pride festivals across the country?
Yep.
I think, folks need to look to Boston. Boston's Pride had a really rigorous system in place for years about who they were going to allow to be sponsors of Pride there.
Right.
And so they were really one of the only ones in the country of the big, massive city ones to say, we actually didn't have a big funding drop off
Right.
this year because we had been so rigorous about
Right.
who was going to be there. Were they actually allies of the community? Were they vetted? Were they successful in showing up for us year after year, and not just in giving money, but in their corporate policies, in their employee policies? And so I think those are things that we're going to have to start to look towards. Of how are we going to be pressuring corporations over the next 12 months? Are they going to come back? Are they going to continue to kowtow and bend the knee to the Trump administration? I think that starting on Tuesday, there's going to have to be some real thinking about how we want to show up in an election year. And I hate it when we keep saying every single year, and the Democratic Party and the DFL runs out and goes, this is the most important election of our time. Yeah. But it always seems to be feeling like 2020, 2022, 2024, now 2026 seems to be progressively, not in politics, but worse and worse and worse stakes that we're having to have here.
Well,
I think that we can't just say we're going to go around and have glitter painted on our skin next year and we're going to get buttons. Something's going to have to be different in 2026, and I think we need to be starting that conversation on Tuesday.
And I don't think it's just that things have to. Go on.
So no, I just want to say that's not to say that I'm critical of what's happening this year.
No, not at all.
What we have this year is absolutely what we should be having right now.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that going forward, we're going to have to re-envision what Pride looks like.
But I think some people are saying there's a lot of emphasis on 2026. I think things need to be happening right now, like today, like next week, that are fundamental forms of resistance, whether they're investigations of illegal things that have been done and getting people starting to coalesce around something more aggressive than signing a petition, or the kind of passive stuff.
I do not want to sign any more petitions. Right. I'm so over it.
So if we're in an historic moment, we all, each one of us needs to find things that you can do that are active, frankly, that are beginning to set us up for repelling this, because that's what we're facing.
I know. And when you're talking about moving forward, or I guess I'm talking about moving forward, like I'm over signing petitions. I mean, I'm over those emails. I'm over call your senator or call like. Yes, I understand that signing stuff and going to calling your congressman, that's important. But they're very clearly showing that they don't give an F.
No.
When they're sitting there and saying, "Oh, well, we'd rather actually stop having town halls than actually listen to our constituents."
Right.
When you have the former majority leader, what's his face, the guy that looks like a turtle, McConnell. McConnell said this week, he goes, "Oh, well, they'll get over it.
Yeah.
Who cares that we're getting rid of Medicaid? They'll get over it, move on."
Right.
They being their voters.
Right.
So they even know that they're going to get, what was the word that Biden used to use, shellacked.
Yeah,
in the midterms, and they don't care. And so that's where I'm like, I'm over being asked to call Congress people. I'm over being asked to, sign a petition. And frankly, there are people, and one of them, I want to talk about this on Monday. You got this email from Robert Reich, which is a thing from Liz Cheney, of I don't want to give money unless you're going to tell me what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, I think we're past any sort of normalcy. So we all have to step back and go, okay, so none of this is going to be normal. What's demanded of me as an individual is going to exceed anything I've ever done before or ever thought about before. And we have to rally ourselves that way. The sort of, it's another election season. I've already gotten those emails. Well, the 2026 election's starting now. And those are people that don't understand.
It started on November 7th.
But they don't understand what's changed. The Republicans have no intention of relinquishing power or sharing power at all.
No, and they're not going to, which is why
until we make them.
This station is more important than ever. I want to read AM 950's Pride Mission. We're here to celebrate Pride with positivity, joy, and unity while amplifying LGBTQI2S+ voices. We are proud to support and stand together as a community, especially in time when rights are under attack. You're listening to The Gaily Show.
Hey, Francois, how are you enjoying your first vacation in Minnesota?
Bonjour Laura, je suis très content car j'ai découvert un truc des macarons.
Oh, you're happy because you found a truck of macarons? You mean a food truck?
Oui, il s'appelle Nicolette's.
Oh, you mean Nicolette's macaroons. Oh,
Oui, Nicolette's macarons.
they're very popular.
Ces macarons sont délicats, délicieux et raffinés. Ils me rappellent Paris.
Delicate, delicious, refined, and they remind you of Paris. That's a big deal, Francois. You're so finicky.
Je suis français, je suis un gourmand.
Oh, is that French for picky?
Oui.
Did you know that Nicolette's will be at the Twin Cities Pride?
Mais je suis gay, j'aime bien Nicolette's.
Oh, I know you're gay and you love Nicolette's. That's why I'm telling you, their truck will be at the Twin Cities Pride.
Allons-y, happy Pride.
And you can also go to the website at nicholasmacaroon.com.
I'm Amy Ruzick with No Place Like Home at Remax Results. We're proud to sponsor AM 950's booth and all the incredible live broadcasts happening throughout the Twin Cities Pride weekend, like the Illegal Trans Woman, the Gaily Show, and so many more. At No Place Like Home, we believe that real estate is more than just houses. We're more than real estate agents. We educate, advocate, and give back. Whether you're buying your first home, selling your current one, or relocating to Minnesota for a fresh start, we offer guidance that fits your life, not just the market. With LGBTQ plus rights under attack in so many places, Minnesota stands as a beacon, and we're proud to help both new arrivals and lifelong locals find where they truly belong. Experience the difference in working with a team that's deeply rooted in community. Learn more at noplacelikehome.info. At No Place Like Home, we work hard for our clients while serving the community we love.
Your Twin Cities Metro Public Libraries are committed to providing quality services, resources, and programs to the LGBTQ plus community. Check out the Metro Pride book list, including ebooks and e-audio for kids, teens, and adults at melsa.org/pride-booklist. That's melsa.org/pride-booklist. You'll find titles specific to different identities, including aromantic, asexual, bi+, gay, genderqueer, intersex, lesbian, queer families, transgender, and two-spirit. Stop by Melsa's tent at Twin Cities Pride to share your own reading recommendations. Check out those contributed by other festival attendees. Pick up buttons and bookmarks and find out more about your Twin Cities Metro Public Libraries. Don't have a library card? Staff at the tent can help you with that. There will be librarians from the Metro Public Library systems who are happy to provide book recommendations and other info on how to get the most from your library card. Coming to you from Loring Park in Minneapolis at Twin Cities Pride, you're listening to The Gaily Show. I am your host, John Parker, I'm in the tent with executive producer Jim Pounds, not in our regular studio. It is gorgeous out here, folks. This cloud cover, which is keeping the sun from boiling down on you. There's a nice breeze that's coming through our tent, at least. So if you're thinking, should I go down to Loring Park? Come on down. It is absolutely lovely. If you want a free Metro Transit pass, you can go to tcpride.org, go to their website, and if you click on the Pride information and transportation, you can find the information on how to get a free Metro Transit. So you can come down here. There are bike parking areas, so you can park your bike if you don't want to drive your car down here. We found a great parking space, but that was earlier today. So I want to thank our sponsors, CauseCart, Melsa, the Metropolitan Library Service Agency, No Place Like Home Real Estate, Twin Cities Gay Men's Chorus, Nicolette's Macaron, Minuteman Press Uptown, Mavericks, Real Roast Beef, and Cup of Java. They are making all of this possible here today so that we can be broadcasting live from Twin Cities Pride, and also to have all of this great seating for folks to hang out and listen to all of these shows. And there have been some incredible guests, elected officials that have been coming out through here, authors, activists, organizers. It's been great. Folks that have come through this tent over the past weekend. We were talking before the break about what we need to do over the next 12 months. And one of the things that we need to do is start supporting organizations that have our backs. And so one of those is Minuteman Press Uptown. Would you like to tell us more about Minuteman Press?
I think of them as Minuteman Press, not in Uptown anymore, but I don't know if I feel like they're up in North
Well, they have multiple locations, and they're currently in North Minneapolis.
Well, here's what I think is impressive. They're the largest black-owned print shop in Minnesota. That's reason enough to go. They've been in existence for 25 years. They're a proud union shop. I love all of that. We've been up there to their facility. So support them, mpuptown.com.
We've got some great, I mean, our bookmarks that we got out of there, some
Yep.
flyers and business cards that we got out of there were just absolutely, not only were they gorgeous, but they were, we went in there and we were like, hey, can we do this and we can do that? And they were very responsive.
Very
to that.
collaborative, yeah.
Yeah.
Not what I expected from a printing facility. It was very different.
Very different.
We also are being sponsored by Cup of Java. This is in the Bryn Mawr neighborhood. Well, I had some of their coffee yesterday. It was great. They're 400 Penn Avenue South, and their website is cuppajava.com. That's easy. Cuppa, C-U-P-P-A, Java, J-A-V-A. And then I want to mention No Place Like Home Realtors. Usually a real estate agent is just the person's name, but this is three real estate agents who sort of positioned this as, kind of a way to think about them. No Place Like Home is very evocative to me as an idea. And so that's what they call themselves, No Place Like Home Realty. So
they also are big supporters of the community. They focus on supporting local nonprofits. So they're not just selling real estate. They have worked with Quorum, Aliveness Project, Avenues for Youth, HRC, P Fund. They're making this possible here, AM 950, to have all of these, not just LGBTQ shows, but 11 total programs from AM 950 live from Twin Cities Pride. Fun fact, Amy Ruzick was the #1 RE/MAX results agent by transactions in 2020, 2021, and 2022. So No Place Like Home Realtors.
That's pretty amazing.
Hennepin Avenue, noplacelikeHome.info.
Right. And then shall we talk about Nicolette's?
Okay, yeah, I have my macarons.
Oh, he has one. So John's, dual French citizen, so he's got all kinds of opinions about macaron and how to pronounce it and everything else. And so
I'm gonna have the pink one.
he had one yesterday, and it was a pretty cathartic experience, I think. I'm sorry if anyone hasn't had one, but yeah, tell us.
Why is that so good?
I don't know. Oh,
Every single time. I have not had a bad one yet.
yeah. Well, they're kind of pretty too, and they're a sandwich cookie. You might be thinking macaroons, which is the
maybe why there hasn't been a bad one. So the story behind Nicolette's is that Nicolette, she was a mathematician before she became a baker. So there's clearly some precision going on here. And the truck is here at Twin Cities Pride. They're here in the park. They have been so gracious to be giving the hosts little packages of 4 throughout the weekend.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad that we got to host twice, so that we got to have another package
with different flavors, right? They're
very different.
Each one has a little different filling.
Yes, there's this one I'm having now is pink. I think it's not strawberry. I think it's raspberry.
Raspberry.
It's just they're delightful.
Yeah,
they're delightful. The next stops for the food truck. So they got a lot of locations throughout the Twin Cities. They're in Plymouth. They're in St. Paul on Dale Street.
Yep.
They're at Nadia Cakes locations, Sturdicks on Hennepin and Minneapolis. But also their food truck is going to be traveling this summer. So they're going to be at Taste of Minnesota next weekend. They'll be at Bastille Day at Alliance Française in Minneapolis, of course, on Bastille Day, which is the 14th of July, French Independence Day. They'll be at the Loring Park Festival July 26th and 27th. And then they'll also be at the Minnesota State Fair in the West End for that entire week.
That's interesting. Have they always been there? Do you know?
I don't know, but I'm going to finish this macaron.
Okay. Gordy, do you know if they've always been? He thinks so, yeah. One of our partners is the ultimate authority on the Minnesota State Fair in St. Anthony, Minnesota, at least. And so he goes 3, 4, 5 times. I wonder sometimes if security thinks, what's this guy doing here so much? But he's there a whole bunch of times during the State Fair, so I always look to him as an authority. And we'll have to look that up when we go to the fair this year.
Yeah.
Very good.
A highlight happening at this year's Pride Festival is the new THC Garden, a groundbreaking experience now located in Loring Park. So it is an exclusive lounge area. We walked by it today. It features a variety of THC beverages, edibles, and tinctures for you to enjoy, prioritizing BIPOC and LGBTQIA+ owned businesses in the space. Brand new, just to try out this year. FYI, when you go there, there is no smoking allowed, and products you buy in there have to be consumed within the gated area, but you can purchase gummies and others. I'm sorry, products like gummies you can actually purchase and take home for consumption, but they do have to remain sealed in their packaging.
You know, I've noticed that the mood here seems mellow. Do you feel that? I feel like this is kind of a mellow Pride.
I
In
think it
other
gets
words,
mellow on Sunday afternoons.
really
every
I felt
year.
like both days have been a little mellow, and I don't know what to attribute that to, but it doesn't have that kind of manic.
You don't know what to attribute that to.
Well, no, I guess I do. I guess
being
what I'm
queer in America in 2025.
right. That's what I'm wondering, if there isn't a certain amount of malaise that comes from 6 months.
I
of
don't know if I would characterize it as
pounding.
malaise, but it is, with the Supreme Court decisions hanging over us, the impacts of them, and we still, the decisions are out there, but we haven't begun to feel the full effects of them.
Right.
And we have an administration that is on every front trying to eliminate us. I mean, down to
Right.
removing Harvey Milk's name from a ship in the Navy.
Well, they even went in New York and scratched out trans from the memorial at Stonewall. I mean, how petty is that? Here,
Well, they're petty.
We're gonna scratch
They
out
are
the name.
petty, and they're owning being petty, and they want to be petty.
They want to
and
be
that's
petty.
where I'm so angry when I hear folks going after Zohran Mamdani and Minneapolis and New York City.
Right.
Here's a candidate who unabashedly ran a pro-trans, pro-LGBTQ campaign, did not shy away from it, was very clear on his website, in his platform, in his speeches, in his all the door knocking that yes, we believe in rights for queer and trans people
And pro working class. I think that this is
and for working
this
class.
is an
And
echo of
he
Bernie
went from-
Sanders.
He went from 1% in the polls,
Yep.
in February to winning the first round of the primary in New York last Tuesday.
Right.
And now the full results won't be known until this week because we won't know how big of a win it actually was with the ranked choice voting there.
Right.
But to see all of these Democrats freaking out now because he's a progressive,
Right.
and identifies as and has been part of the Democratic Socialist Party,
Yep.
which, who was a Democratic Socialist? Oh,
Was
which president was that? Oh, the one that got elected 4 times?
Right.
Oh, yeah,
That's
Franklin Delano Roosevelt.
That's
He was
right.
the first Democratic Socialist.
Well,
So it's really frustrating that when we finally see a campaign, 10,000 volunteers, over 1 million doors knocked, unabashedly pro-LGBTQ, talked about economic issues. This was the big thing after the election last year. Oh, we're not talking about the kitchen table issues. Oh, blah, 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 blah.
well,
Okay, here's a candidate that did both,
but here's the
and they're going after him.
Here's the challenge in that is he talked about affordable housing while people recognize that the real estate industry doesn't want anything to do with affordable housing. The real estate industry doesn't care whether people can afford to live somewhere. And there's a sort of a separation there, right? Those are 2 points of view that can't coexist. So somebody's going to have to subvert
And that's
the
why
other.
we're supposed to have a democracy.
Well, and what's happened is the real estate industry wins, and a lot of people who work in New York can't afford to live in New York, so they have to come over.
But this is
Same thing in LA.
when we talk about what is Pride going to look like in 2026, when the Democratic elites establishment are trying to go and we're going to resurrect Cuomo's terrible campaign, or maybe we should get behind Eric Adams, who is anti-trans.
Yeah.
Eric Adams, but it undercuts their argument about we are the rule of law party. We are we're the party of the Constitution. We are the party that tries to. We don't want folks that are breaking the law. Eric Adams was credibly accused of taking money from a foreign government, Turkey,
Yep.
to do their bidding.
Yep.
Okay, he was running a corrupt, and now they're going to run in because they don't want a democratic socialist. They don't want a progressive, so they're going to go in and support Eric Adams.
Yeah.
They're going to go in and resurrect the campaign
Right.
of Andrew Cuomo, who not only was also credibly accused by, I think it was like 12 women in his administration for sexually abusing them, assaulting, harassing them, but also all of the deaths in the nursing homes that he was, from his legislation and his policies that he was overseeing, had a direct role in.
Right.
So it's really hard for them to then say, yeah, we're the ones that are about rule of law. We're the ones that are about,
Well, Well, they're moving right because they think that's
Because
going to win them elections.
Eric Adams basically went and pleaded for a pardon from Trump, and Trump was like, hey, you get behind me, we're going to get rid of all of these charges. And
Right.
guess what happened?
Yep.
He got rid of all the charges. You see someone like Gavin Newsom. Gavin Newsom comes out earlier this year and says it's, quote, unfair for trans women to be participating in sports. He sends his staff to their Congress, the legislature in California, and says, no more legislation. Do not send any more LGBTQ legislation to the governor's desk. He does not want it anymore. And now what's happening? Oh, Trump is suing California and says, if you do not get rid of trans athletes and sports, we are going to sue you, and we're going to take away all of your money that you're getting from the federal government for your school system. What is Newsom going to do now? Because he wants to play both sides of this issue. He wants to be Mr. Ally, but not, and he also wants to be the happy warrior against Trump. He wants to be known as the guy that sues Trump and takes the fight to Trump. Okay, what are you going to do here now?
What do you guess?
You know, so these are the folks that are in charge of the Democratic Party that have these leadership positions, mayor, Democrat, former President Bill Clinton, these folks who are super delegates that want Cuomo, that want Adams, that want Newsom.
Yep.
Okay, well, how are you splitting this difference here? Are you going to be there for the community, or are you not going to be for the community? The progressives, they have been for the community. And clearly when we see a candidate like Zohran Mamdani,
Yep.
he ran an excellent campaign, tens of thousands of volunteers, 1 million doors knocked,
Right.
went from 1% in the polls to winning.
Yep.
On the first round. I mean, not on the first round, but he got the most votes of anybody else.
So now we don't just have claims or positions on issues. We have a winning candidate in the largest city in the United States who's going to be a standard bearer. He's not the only one, of course, but he's certainly the most prominent at the moment, who's going to be a leader for the Democratic Party of tomorrow, we hope. And that's exciting in terrible times. I worry about his safety with what's going on, and we're all going to have to look out for him. It's going to be all of our jobs. This isn't something that is somebody else's problem now. This is every single one of our problems.
Well, and we have a mayoral election coming up here in Minneapolis, and so we'll be watching out to see what our candidates do in their campaigns, and if they are going to do more of a Mamdani style campaign. Are they going to do a more Gavin Newsom type campaign, or are they going to do more of an Eric Adams type campaign without all of the legal bribery baggage along with that?
Right.
We will have to see. Obviously, you tune in here to the Gaily Show, but also AM 950, because there are so many programs here that are bringing you progressive news, bringing you progressive talk. The Matt McNeil Show, Native Roots Radio, Food Freedom Radio, the Upright Downright Show. Ellie Krug was here live yesterday afternoon. She was not holding back.
No.
And she has not been holding back on her show for the past 6 months, the Legal Trans Women. Obviously, Twin Cities Pride every Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. What I love about their show is they're really trying to build community, and they're bringing folks in to have community conversations about what needs to happen here in the Twin Cities and what folks are doing here locally. So we are, really, you've got these support resources here on the radio. We're going to continue to do that. Please connect with us and tell us where you want to see these shows doing and where we want to go to into the future. I want to thank everybody that made this possible. Brett Johnson, Greg Bakken, manning the control room and our mobile control room, making it all happen. Patrick and Adam back in the station. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow. Keep it queer, America.
Keep it queer.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay,